everybody. Welcome back. I hope you did not miss us. Don't you wish they didn't miss us either? Uh,
Well, let me just say, I hope we didn't drive them off.
yeah, yeah.
We had some had a good time last time.
Yeah, we're so glad you decided to come back, and we're so glad you decided to subscribe. We're so glad you decided to hit the notification button, and we're so glad that you asked questions and commented. And so I just had a great time last time, Terry, and I know you did because I thought you was going to stand up for a little bit and turn around in circles, but you was able to do a controlled burn, so that that was good. Uh, uh,
I applied some inertial dampers.
you, yeah, there comes
Those
the
who watch Star
guy.
Trek, just look up what an inertial dampener is.
That's just to keep everybody in the ship from going, whoo, right? I think that's the way.
It keeps them from becoming part of the ship when they go into warp.
Oh, yeah, that would be my luck. So we ended the last episode of this Sacred Odyssey. Oh, did I say thank you for coming to Sacred Odyssey Videocast, an intellectual and spiritual quest?
Thank you for returning.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And this is part of our new little series that we're doing, Unpacking Genesis or Bereshit, as we're trying to reveal. I don't know if I want to, I guess we can call it the Hebraic, the Jewish, the roots of Genesis and Torah, and getting that started. And now at the end of the last video, we ended with Terry reading something that we just thought was, both of us thought was so powerful. And we're going to begin this episode with that same reading. So Terry, go ahead and talk a little bit and just do what you need to do there. And let's read that.
Yes. Thank you for returning to listening to two old Tennessee boys.
Yeah.
That enjoy studying the Hebrew scriptures. Again, if you didn't see the last one, I don't want to leave anyone in the dark. I'm reading a section from the overview of the Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. This is in the overview, which is titled Tanakh, Textbook of the Soul. And I thought it's got some really good information there. It says, God wants more than strict adherence to the letter of his laws. The Torah is meant to shape people as well as deeds, their doings, because it is only human beings who are God's standard bearers and whose personal examples can inspire others to serve him. So important is this concept that Genesis devotes much space to the subject of conduct. God wants us to learn not merely from the written text, but the most eloquent text are flesh and blood.
Now let's talk about that before we go into this where we're going, Terry. So we're talking about actions more than religion. Did I say that right?
Yes.
What we need the people to do, I'm gonna let the preacher come out in me a little bit. So y'all just hang on to me. I won't take up an offering. So that's the good thing. You ought to be thanking Baruch Hashem for that.
If you feel inspired to give, locate a local food bank.
Yes.
And make a donation to feed those who are in need.
That was a great touch. Right? That was great presentation right there, Terry.
Some people get inspired to give.
Yes. Yeah.
So give because the Creator, he loves givers, and everyone knows that.
Yes.
And so if you want to give to a local food bank and help those who are in need.
So now I'm going to preach. Sometimes here in the West, I had this same impression. So I'm talking from my walk, what I've been through. And Terry, you may concur with this. But I always had the impression in my past that it was religion that revealed what I needed. And just as long as I had religion, my actions didn't do anything, and my actions didn't. But in fact, it's your actions that deem you righteous or unrighteous, not your religion. I took the preacher's turn to bring that out. And that's what the Torah, that's why we're starting in Genesis, is to present to the actions. We have our responsibilities. That's another new word that I've, Terry, expound on that a little bit. I can tell by the quiver in your eye, you're wanting to expound on that a little bit.
Oh man, we're starting with the first sentence, the first word. But boy, I'm going to have to jump ahead of the ball game here just a little bit, know.
Well,
Can I do that?
Yeah, you go ahead and take it wherever you need to take it.
You asked for an example, right?
Yes.
Well, the Creator didn't create man to give him a religion.
Wait.
He gave us an opportunity to see what we would do, not what we would believe.
Oh, wow. I need to write that down, use that sometime. Can you say that one more time, Terry, before you?
The Creator did not create a religion, create us, and then give us a religion. He didn't test us on our belief. He tested us on our actions.
So now, okay, Terry, can I ask you a question about what you just presented to us? I was under the impression all during my first walk, I see different now, but my first walk was that the Torah is about religion.
No, it opens up. We're in Genesis, and we're going to be getting there. We're going to be spending some time on some key passages that will totally change your life, because they changed mine.
Me too, changed mine.
But we're going to be getting to these passages when the first human beings were created and brought to a place for them to live. They were given something to do and not to do, and had nothing to do with belief, had nothing to do with religion.
Wow.
The Creator said, you can have all these trees. These are yours. So he told them to eat them. Give them something to do. Told them to take care of them. But you can't eat on this one. This one's mine. So don't do that.
Well, that's a whole new concept.
And so the very, very first situation with the human beings and God in the book of Genesis had to do with what we should or should not do, or what actions were they going to do, not what they believed.
Yeah, Terry, I made a statement just then. I have to redo that station. That's not a new concept. That's the original concept.
That is the original concept.
So it might
when
be
God
new.
created man, the first test was on their actions, not their belief.
So I got to say that again. That's not a new concept. That's not a new interpretation. That's not a new definition. That's the original position.
You can't get any more original than that. Wow. Anything that says anything different is wrong. I'm just going to say it's not what it says.
And I know we're going to cover this, and Terry, I apologize.
I told you I was going to jump. I told you I was going to turn around and put the caboose out front.
I've got to present something here. I told you I was going to ask you these questions just cold right here. So, did God set man up to fail from the beginning?
No.
So he didn't set him up and say, okay, there wasn't a position God set him up to sin? What was the position?
Are we going to get in the subject of sin again right
now? No, I don't want to. That's a later, but I want to read this.
When we get to that part of Genesis, put your seatbelts on.
Yeah.
Grab a hold of that steering wheel, because we fixing to go places.
Well,
some places, some haven't been before.
To boldly go.
But yeah. You asked me, and you asked me to explain. I'm just about deeds and actions. The first test of humanity had nothing to do with religion, had nothing to do with faith. It had everything is what are you going to do and what are you not going to do?
Yep.
That's it. Boom.
That's it. That's it. And you know what?
Put your trash in the trash can when you leave the theater.
That's it. Before you can really understand the depth of the book of Genesis, even the Torah, before you can understand the depth, you have to realize what you just said. It has to become clear. So the Creator put man here. Now we're jumping a little bit ahead. Now I just want to present it flat so that we can get to it. It's going to say, so
it's just like looking at the menu before you place the order.
So he gave him some rules. I don't know if I want to call them regulations, but can I call them responsibilities?
Responsibilities.
And
just like you as a father gave your child a responsibility to keep his room clean.
You can play with that, but don't play with that.
Right. Well, I can give you a perfect example. I grew up here in the South, Kentucky. My family came from Tennessee to Kentucky during the Civil War, that we found out over the last few years. But I was Kentucky, Southern boy. My dad had guns. In the closet was a .22 Magnum rifle, loaded. Hanging on beside it was a .22 Magnum pistol with bullets it was a revolver. My dad took me out and showed me what they do. Let me shoot them. Put them back in the closet. Don't touch them.
Right.
I was smart enough not touch them. Kids today, I'm sorry, they don't no.
Oh, bless him.
Sorry, but you just asked. God, yeah. My dad gave me as a son, as a young boy, an instruction, a responsibility. Don't touch them because it will do this. Well, guess what the ultimate father did? Don't touch this or this is going to happen.
That's going to happen. Now I know we're going to cover this.
We might as well skip chapter 1 and go on to 2 and 3.
The Creator knew that he was going to do it.
The Creator, yes.
In the day you do it. And we didn't.
Matter of fact, he does it even in the Hebrew. You getting all kinds ahead of me.
We'll just pull it. I'm pulling it back in. You'll have to be back on the net.
We're not going to tell you what the Hebrew says there and what it doesn't say there.
Okay.
Let's get back to where this is about. You can tell Scotty and I enjoy this.
I was reading. The reason I brought up what I did, I was reading what it was presented for. I was going to read it. And I got to put my glasses on because I found out as I get older, we'll not discuss that, but I love this commentary of the Chumash. Now we covered what the Chumash was in past videos, so we'd appreciate if you go back in those videos. It's not going to hurt our feelings a bit if you pause right here where you're at, but I know you're not going to be able to do that. So when you get through with this video, you can go back and look at the others. But I want to read you in this Art Scroll Chumash, and it says, we begin the study of the Torah with the realization that the Torah is not a history book, but the charter of man's mission in the universe. Did I read that right, Terry? Do I need to read that one more time? Just real quick.
Read one more time.
We begin the study of the Torah with the realization that the Torah is not a history book, but the charter of man's mission in the universe. So having said that, Terry, where do you want to take us?
I'm going to read the very first sentence. Then we're going to come back to the very first word. This is the very first sentence of the Torah of Moshe. The instructions that the Creator gave Moses 2,000 plus years into the existence of mankind. Check out our last video. We explained that.
Yeah.
First sentence in the English says, in the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth.
I know other, I just want to throw this in, Terry, so it's not, uh, I know in most Western translation says, in the beginning, God created. But there's a little difference in the understanding of that um, positional place. Should I
Right.
bring that up right now?
Yeah, because this is what this lesson is on. Now we're going to go back to the first word in English that is translated in the beginning in most English Bibles. In the Jewish one translation that I study from, and it's pretty much standard throughout Jewish tradition, which we explained in the last video, is the first word is actually in the beginning of, and I'm going to explain that why the word of is important.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to real quick pull up that little document thing or whatever we created? It shows the first word in the Hebrew. Okay, as you see here, this is the very first word of Torah. It reads right to left. It begins, you can see the letter Bet is in the blue, and then the rest of the word is in the black. And we've done that on purpose here because the letter Bet in front of the, let me just read it here. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it in two different ways. Read Ashkenaz, which is Bereshis. Let me say it faster because it's the way the German usually is. Bereshis, and then the Sephardi is Bereshit. It is sheet. It's a double EET at the end of it. Okay, the first letter in the blue is a Bet. It's the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. When you see this word, this letter used in front of a word, it can mean in. It means in or into. There are several letters in the Hebrew alphabet. When put in front of a word, gives a word a kind of some direction. I've decided not to use fancy grammatical words that I might misuse, but let me just say it gives a kind of a direction. So this is Bereshit, or in the beginning is the way it is translated in most Hebrew Bibles. The great Hebrew Jewish commentator Rashi, who lived, I think, 800-900 years ago, he's considered the great Torah scholar. He teaches that there's another word that if it meant in this word here denotes that it's not a chronological recording. When you read Genesis 1 here, and actually there's several places in the Torah itself, and even in the other books that are kind of interesting, that especially when you start getting into talking about Cain and Abel and stuff, we're going to learn some things that just a plain reading of an English translation, you're going to think one thing, but actually it was another. And that's why it's important to start learning the Hebrew. And if you don't want to learn the Hebrew, at least learn from a Hebrew teacher, one who speaks and lives the language, so he can tell you. Because I mean, even over the last year, Scotty and I both study under a rabbi that lives in Jerusalem, and we've actually met him personal and spent some time with him. And he really gets in, and one of the things that we learned from studying under him is some of the things that appears to be chronological, but they're not. So this is actually here in the beginning, we can tell it is not a chronological listing, and we're gonna look at that and show that. So everybody see this word, the letter B, ba, or the letter bait. Bait, reshit. It's the rest of Bereshit. That's translated in the beginning. Rashik means beginning. We get the Hebrew word Rosh from there, or head. You have a word that's called like a Rosh Yeshiva, which is a yeshiva is a school, so a head of a school, like a principal. You have a special time period that God told Israel to remember, and eventually all humankind will remember this day. It's called Rosh Chodesh, or the head of the month. And so we can see that this word Rosh here means head or beginning, start of.
Okay.
And so hope everybody can see that in the Hebrew. If you have any questions, please message us and we can help you out there. But I wanted to show you in the Hebrew, this is the very first word of the Torah. Now, in the Torah scroll, you can see this has dots on it. In the Torah scroll, it's all letters. The vowel points were created later to teach the Hebrew vowelation. These are the vowels, and which we don't have to get into here. But in a Torah scroll, take all the dots out, and all the extra lines, and just have the letters, and that's what you would have in the Torah scroll.
Consonants, yeah.
And again, like we mentioned last time, there is an oral lesson, and how to read that is orally taught.
Correct.
You can't pick up a Torah scroll without and just read a book and understand it. You have to be, even with the vowels, even though they're there, unless you are orally taught, you wouldn't know how to pronounce that.
Right.
So anyhow, you can take that back off now.
Okay.
Now we're talking about Bereshit, in the beginning, and a more correct English translation is in the beginning of God creating the heavens and the earth.
So he's saying, okay, in the beginning of the creation of this, I want to tell you some things
it's not a ABCD. It's just a paraphrasing, a generalization. He hits the high points.
Right.
Probably the better way to say the Creator, when he's explaining it or giving this to Moses on the mountain, he's giving him the high points.
Right.
On this, because all the other stuff has nothing to do with our mission on earth.
Right. And that's what we're dealing with, our mission on earth.
On earth. Right.
Okay.
So, and I'm reading here from, I got a 2-volume set just on Genesis. Again, let's see here. That is the Ashkenaz Bereshis. In these books is over 2,000 years of collected information over the last 3,400 years.
Yeah. So, Terry, if I could just put this before you read what you're going to read right there. So if anybody has, if you want a little deeper understanding, now remember right here, we're looking at the leaf, and we're just now starting to indulge in the curves of the leaf. Now, Terry, hold that leaf up one more time, if you would. Now, if we look at this leaf and we just take a glance at it, what we're wanting to look at is the shape, the veins, the color. And so I said several things, but that didn't mean I said it in chronological order. Which come first? The shape, the color, the veins. What come
Which
first?
comes first?
Which
the egg or the chicken?
So sometimes we want to put a timeline in our mind about creation. And again, I'm trying to be delicate as I say this, because I don't want to throw you out at this, right off the bat. I don't want to just say everything you've been learned or everything you've been taught is incorrect. But what I'm just saying is sometimes we are conditioned to see things at a certain position. But as you just presented to us, Terry, when you even look at the first word in the Hebrew that was translated, it's telling us a compiling of the things. Just like the leaf is brown, it's got curvatures, it's got veins, it's got a main stem, all those things. Did I say that right, Terry?
Right.
Okay. And you can comment and ask us a question, and we can fill you in on more information on that. And we will probably be back to that in the future. So go ahead, Terry.
Okay, it says, in the beginning of. Although the first word of the Torah is familiarly tongue-tied there, translated in the beginning, as we have said, many of the Hebrew scholars disagree on its grammatical grounds. Now we're talking about the disagreement on how it's translated.
Correct. Not on what it says, but how it's translated.
Had the Torah meant the isolated phrase in the beginning, the proper word, and I've got to get my glasses out because some of this writing is, my magnifying glasses make it better. So I can try to pronounce this Hebrew word. It's one thing when you're studying Hebrew, you have all these English and all of a sudden they throw Hebrew words in there in the middle of it. That's why it's good to learn Hebrew.
I'm glad you're doing that because I haven't got that good at it yet.
But it says that had the Torah meant the isolated phrase in the beginning, the proper word would have been Bari Shoina. Bari Shoina. Remember, we have Bari Sheet. This one would have had the ending letters instead of a Yud Tav. It would have had a Vav Nun Hey.
Okay.
And we don't have that word to pull up for you.
Right.
But the last letters of Bereshit is Bereshit in the beginning is a Yud Tav. Okay, the sheet. All right. To have been in the beginning, the word would have ended with a Vav Nun Hey. Bari Shoinav. I may have tortured the Hebrew there, but it's very close. Bari Shoina. All right. The word Bereshit that we showed you, however, implies a construct, a state of construction. Word which is attached to the next in the beginning of. So in the beginning of is construct, means you're not getting all the information. It's just in the beginning implies that the chronological order of the creation is being given. So the standard English translation implies that you're getting a chronological order. Because it's not correctly translated, you're getting a wrong interpretation. Okay? But this interpretation is refuted by the following verse, which mentions the existence of water, but does not explain when it was created.
Yes.
So we see now we're talking about this is how we get into studying the Torah. We look at a word, we look how it's used in a sentence, and we look at words around that word to see how they are used in that sentence and how they are also used elsewhere, which we're going to next.
Yeah.
Okay. As explained, Rashi, who we said is the great Torah scholar, he also rejects the interpretation of in the beginning as chronological because of the word is not. If it was a chronological, it would have been a different word, similar word but different. Because he himself says what I just said here, that it was Bari Shoina. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah.
That actually would have meant in the beginning, because Bereshit, it does not. It's in the beginning of.
Yeah. So
and what we're going to do is we're going to look at two examples.
Okay.
We're going to look at two examples that's in the Hebrew, how this word Rashit is used. The first one, I'm going to go further back and then come back.
Do you need me to pull up anything?
No.
Okay.
No. Let's see here. Well, unless you want to, we didn't plan on that. Jeremiah.
Let's see.
Jeremiah 26, verse 1.
Okay, it's going to take me just. I'll have to go. We're going to go.
If you will pull up the Hebrew, yeah. Jeremiah 26, 1. I'm going to read it from the Ark Scroll. It says, in the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, the king of Judah, or Yehuda, this word came from the Creator saying. So we see here, in the beginning of the reign.
Now, I just highlighted the
right
in the beginning of.
Right in the beginning of. Right here, you see it's
in the beginning.
In the beginning of Bereshit, just like the first word. Right there, the first word that he's highlighted. It's the same as the first word in Genesis chapter 1. It's the beginning of the reign of this son. It doesn't give all the details. It says, it goes in through here. It doesn't give the details of him starting his reign, when all that happened, the inauguration day, and it gives you a full historical, contextual discourse of the beginning of his reign. It just says in the beginning, sometime in that period of time of his beginning.
Right. Okay. I'm going to see if I can put this in Townsend terms. We're jumping in and saying, somewhere in the time of in the beginning of all of this is what was going on. But it didn't mean day one, that's exactly what he did. Like you said, he was born, and then he went to school, and but it said, so I understand what you're saying. I understand.
If it would have been a chronological, he would have probably got more in detail on how he created the leaves and the frogs and the stars. Correct. And the clouds. It would have been, we don't have enough planet for the books that it would took for him to have written a true in the beginning.
Correct. Correct. Okay.
All right. Another example is in Genesis chapter 10 and verse 10. Let's see here. Let me find it here. And in 16, 13, 10, the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
Okay. The beginning of
his kingdom. And look over here. It's the second word. Rashit. That means beginning. Beginning of.
Oh, I see the beginning. And okay, I got it. Yeah.
But it says here, it says in the beginning of his kingdom was Babylon. And he goes on down through there. It's talking about elements of the beginning of his kingdom, not the details of the beginning.
Okay.
So that's why they put the word of, or why Rashi teaches that the word of is the best translation of the first word of the Torah is in the beginning of. And then you see in the beginning of God creating the heavens and the earth. He's not going to give a chronological order. He's just going to hit the highlights.
Right. Okay. You through with that, Terry?
I'm through with that.
Okay. I'll stop the share.
Got any other questions?
Well, I do. So I just want to clarify this one more time, because I just want to make it, there's some, if we look at it, we're not saying, the text is not saying, and I just want to give this clarification. The text is not saying, okay, in the beginning, he did this, it couldn't have been saying that, because where did the water come from?
Where did the water come from?
And so, and the earth was already here.
Here. The water was already here.
And it was without form, if I can say it that way, empty. Now we'll get into that. I don't want to get it.
We'll get into that. Now, understand, we're not going to, as we go into Genesis, there will be times that we will look at one particular word. And then there's times we're going to be looking at a complete statement. We're not going to take, it would take, my great grandchildren would be teaching you if we went by every word.
Right.
What we're wanting to do, here's what we're wanting to do, and here's our goal, is to bring a simple understanding of the instructions that the Creator has given us. Yeah, we're going to get into some interesting things, just a few things, but we are not trying to make this complicated. We don't need it to be complicated. He created us and wants us to walk in simplicity. What sometimes we're going to do is, because of our background of being preachers, we know what we preached, and we know what we were taught to preach. And then now when we get into the Hebrew, we find out that there's some mistranslations, there's some misunderstandings, and it wasn't on purpose. We're not pointing fingers, not bashing. It's just the nature of things, the way things happens in life. We're trying to help correct some of these understandings so that your walk with the Creator will be more ground-based on the rock of his word, and steady and simple. Did I say that okay?
Yeah. I was sitting
not
here,
religious.
Right. I was sitting here trying to think in my mind, what would be one more step of a way of presenting what we just discussed. And now, Terry, help me if I've got this wrong, that's okay. You can correct me. I'm fine with that. It's like we're stepping in the middle of a picture already in progress.
Yeah, we're Johnny come latelys.
So we're stepping into the middle of something that's already in progress, and we're trying to get caught up on what the Creator has already done. Yeah.
And what he will be doing when we're gone.
Yeah.
Because we may believe in something doesn't mean we know it, everything. I've got some friends. Oh, that's not how I believe. Belief has nothing to do. Belief has nothing to do with it. Matter of fact, the Hebrew word emunah that's translated as faith in English doesn't mean the faith that you understand it as.
Right. Now,
it has nothing to do with belief. It's about the knowledge, true knowledge, the knowledge of God. God says to know me. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring the knowledge of the Creator in a format that helps you to know him.
Yes.
Not believe, not just not believe. Believe denotes doubt. We want you to know him. We want to know him.
Right. And I know at the same time, some of the things we're bringing out, some people say, well, I really don't need to know that. But if you don't know this part, as we get into the next part, you're going to be missing something. The same way I think I said in the previous video, that when I looked into the microscope before I looked at what we were looking at, I didn't know what was going on. But once I examined what we were going to be looking at under the microscope, I understood what we saw under the microscope. Do that again, Terry,
what we've done in this episode is we looked at what it is, and we gave a surface investigation with the map. We enlarged it just a little bit to get a little bit more information of what is already there.
Terry, can I use 3 of my favorite words real quick right here? Hermeneutic.
What's for supper?
No. No. We just use hermeneutics, which is the science of the study of the text. We did not use an eisegetical view. In other words, we did not already have a prefixed idea of what it was going to say, and we did not read that down into the text. What we used was an exegetical view, an exegetical study. We allowed the text to reveal to us that Bereshit means we are stepping into the picture. The movie has already started, and we're stepping in, and he's catching us up on what's been going on. So did I say that?
You said it exactly right.
Okay, are you hunting something there? You're about to reveal something else to us, aren't you?
No, I'm just going to add weight to what you said.
Okay.
I'm just going to start. This was a set of passage that came to me. I was in a situation when I was 19 years old. I had a decision to make. And at 19 years old, the world was coming to an end. You know how 19-year-olds are, especially 19-year-old boys. And I was given an ultimatum, matter of fact, by my pastor, of the church I grew, the denomination I grew up in. I had a decision to make. And I approached the Creator with, okay, I got on my knees, I took my Bible, and I said, you know where I'm at. I have a hard decision. And at 19 years old, your friends, some you've known for years, and this was a roommate that I went to church with who wasn't living a right life. And I had a decision to make per the instruction of my pastor of where I needed to go. I had to choose what action I was going to take. And so I approached God. And I just told him, hey, I got a decision to make. I said, I want to tell you, I said, there's something that's mentioned all the time, which I'm not going to talk about that. But I said, I need to understand it. And if you'll help me understand this, I will know what decision I need to make. I opened my Bible and it fell to this passage. And I don't recommend doing that all the time, but I was 19 years old, didn't know what else to do. It fell to Proverbs chapter 2. And we'll read part of this to anchor what Scotty's saying. I could just read the passage, one passage, and it'd be fine, but I need to read the build up to it.
Yeah.
My child, if you accept my words and treasure my commandments within you, this is from King Solomon, and he's talking about the Torah.
Yes.
He is the wisest man on earth. These are his words when he says, my commands. Matter of fact, the word here, let me find it. See here, let me find where 2 starts. Have to look in the Hebrew. Okay, there's where 1 starts. Let's see here. Well, it's translated as commands, but it's actually a different word for command. There's several words that's translated as commands. I won't get into the Hebrew on that because it's not where we're at for today.
Okay.
But I'm just going to stay with the English translation.
Okay.
My child, if you think the Creator's talking to you, if you accept my words and treasure my commandments within yourself, to make your ear attentive to wisdom and incline your heart to discernment, for only if you call out to understanding and give forth your voice to discernment. And here's where I want to get into this. If you seek it as money and search for it as a hidden treasure. See, that's what we're doing here. We are searching Genesis for the hidden treasure.
Yeah.
And Scotty and I, we definitely do the seeking part, because, you know, the sages teach us that this seeking means like seeking for his money is like working your job for money. You're doing it for the money. It's really, all of us do our jobs just for the money. But Solomon says here, if you'll seek his commandments, his Torah, like you seek money,
Yeah.
if you search for it as a hidden treasure. And that's what we're doing. What I read in the last video about the hidden treasure.
Yeah.
If you didn't get to see the last video, go check it out. I talk about the hidden treasure that's within all of us.
Yes. Yes.
And that ties into that's what we're doing. We're searching for the treasures that's hidden in Genesis that most of us have never heard of our life. We're going to do some digging.
You know, I meet a lot of people, Terry, and I know we're coming to the close on this, but I meet a lot of people who are how could I say this and say it delicately? They're unsatisfied. They're unconnected. They are broke in spirit and in mind.
And the time period we're in is really not helping out a lot.
Right. But if you have a desire to gain the knowledge, to seek the treasure, to work at it like you was working for money, like you had that same passion, there will be a foundation you will find, a treasure that you will find that was actually in you that you missed, you overlooked, and it will reveal things and open up things to you. Now, again, I have to watch my words, Terry, because this is not something that you can find on your own. Oh, you need to seek it, and then you need to, what am I trying to say here, Terry? I'm trying to be
what you're trying to say is you can't be a treasure hunter without a map.
Without a map. And then
you've got to have the map, and you have to have the person to show you how to read that map to help understand it.
If the map was in a different language, it does. If you find a map that somebody's been translated time and time again, went through several languages before you ever got it, chances are you are never going to find that treasure.
You got to go back to what the treasure map was written in to begin with.
Yes.
And those who understand the language and live the language.
Yes. Okay. I took a deep breath right there, Terry. So listen, thank you all so much again. Terry, you got anything else to add before we come to a
no,
close?
just understand, when you see in the beginning, it's in the beginning of, because it's not a chronological. And like I said, the verse, where it says about the water was already there. A lot of theological questions. I've been to through theological trainings and stuff in my past. There's a lot of theological questions about that, but they're approaching it from an English Western, trying to understand it without going to the source.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for being a part of this videocast, this episode of Sacred Odyssey videocast. And we want to thank you for sticking with us. We've got much more to come. We've just now got started, haven't we, Terry? Just now started.
Just started in the beginning of
this.
Our Unpacking Genesis.
Yes. And as you can tell, Terry and I love to do this. We love to reveal what we know and then set you on a quest, an intellectual and spiritual quest to find that treasure, to seek that treasure. So remember to hit that subscribe button. We so much appreciate it. Hit that notification. Share it, as Terry said. I think it was in the previous video. Share it for us, and come back. Come back. Go ahead, Terry.
Understand, that you're going to probably have some people come, well, they didn't do this. We didn't cover the whole thing. There are volumes that wouldn't fill this room that I'm in written on
Just the word.
just the first word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of Genesis. We're not interested in the volumes. We're only interested in the foundation for your walk.
Yeah.
The rest of it's just commentary.
Okay, Terry, I know we was coming to a close, but I got to put this in. To understand where you are at in the beginning is the beginning. I hope I said that. To understand, if some people, when they read it, they just take it by faith. That's what it means. This is what it means. This is what I was told it means. But when you read the exact meaning of these, and you're finding out you are stepping into a creation that the Creator is doing.
It's not just a Sunday school story.
It's not just a Sunday school story. The Creator through Moses has invited you to step into the middle of this creation, and Moshe is bringing you up. But this is what's happening here. This is what's happening. So thank you so much. Come back next time. Hit that notification. And this is the series Unpacking Genesis, Unpacking Bereshit. We also have some more playlists there. We're going to be having some more in the future. So, Terry, I'm going to let you sign out this time. Would you sign us out this time?
I just want to thank everyone who's hanging on, fastening their seatbelt, as we take this journey. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. And send us any questions you have. Send us any comments that you have. There may not even be a question. Just thank you for going along the ride with us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.